concepts that we've shared with tons of business owners, and I hope that there are at least a couple little nuggets that you took away from our conversations today. If you're interested in, we're going to open this up for Q&A right now, but if you're interested in learning more, the book that Clayton and I wrote is called Conquer the Chaos, and you can go buy that online. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/conquerthechaos. We've got a Twitter account there, Conquer Chaos. And if you're interested in learning more about Infusionsoft, the software we use to help people grow their companies, that's at infusionsoft.com. And I'm also on Twitter at Scott Martineau. If you want to shoot me a tweet, we can interact that way. So, but with that, Rudiger, why don't we open this up to some questions? We probably have time for maybe a good 10 or 13 minutes we got left. So let's take some questions.
Yeah, we got a few minutes left till the full hour. So for all participants, I would encourage you to type in the questions, and we will field them as they come in. There was obviously the question with regard to the book, but you just gave them the information. Also want to reiterate tomorrow the presentation, the video as well as the presentation will go on the nevadasmallbusiness.com website, and you can download the presentation from there. Again, it's nevadasmallbusiness.com. And one of the first questions, excuse me, Scott, I have here is, it comes in from Mark. What inexpensive ways can you suggest to drive traffic to a website?
Oh, great. Yeah, that is a fantastic question. And I'm going to I'll answer that with two responses. So I'm going to actually pull back up this slide. So Mark's question is, how do we get this traffic here, more of it, and get it cheaper? And so I'll talk about a couple different things. Number one, we're in a really interesting age right now where social media is just absolutely exploding. And if you've been on the fringes and not really understanding what social media can do for you, not sure about this whole Twitter thing and this Facebook thing, you need to take some time and learn it. It's not that complicated, and it's one of those things that it allows you to invest time as opposed to money to create an amazing result. And the kind of the kicker I'll give with that is one of the things you need to be really good at. It kind of relates actually to the magnet, is as you're out working in the social sphere and really in any one of the campaigns that you're working on, if you're trying to get inexpensive traffic or inexpensive interest, is you've got to realize that your prospects are not thinking about you. And sometimes that's a harsh thing for us to realize. We don't want to admit that, but they're not. They don't wake up in the morning and think about your business and about why your product and service is so great. If you ever catch yourself saying, well, why wouldn't somebody want what I have to offer? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, they're busy as heck. They've got an email inbox of, that's like the size of, it's hundreds deep, and they've got fires of their own to put out. So you've got to get really good at cutting through the clutter in every one of your marketing campaigns. And the reason I'm talking about it in the context of a cheap campaign is because the effectiveness of your campaign hinges on how valuable what it is that you're offering is. And so, for example, in the social sphere, if you're going to go onto Facebook, for example, to try to grow your company, instead of saying, instead of trying to go out and say, hey, come buy my stuff, and going straight for the kill, you might say something like, let's say that, Mark, I don't know what you are, but let's say that you're a, integrity business. I can't see the complete name, but if you're a business consultant, for example, you might say, hey, everybody, I just finished this report called 3 Keys to managing the logistics in your company more effectively, right? So you're now offering something of value that has, and I have no idea if I matched what your business is, but you see what I'm doing. You're creating something of value that you can offer to people. And now, even though this is a free posting you put on Facebook or a tweet that you send out, all these people who see that are like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go grab that. And so, and as long as you follow that up with the right amount of lead capture, now you can begin to build this list of more people that today, frankly, are probably just bouncing off your website or not. They might read something that you do, but not really actually engage with you. So those are a couple examples. As you start your company, there is a certain amount of just hard work you have to do if you don't have the money to spend on the marketing. And it might mean that you're using, depending on your business, these strategies don't work for everybody. It might mean that you're using Craigslist to list list your services. It might mean that you're paying the neighborhood kid, or maybe you're going around, or you and your kids are going around to hang flyers. I knew a mortgage broker who would go into neighborhoods and he would print out these really cheap door hanger flyers, and he basically would create a website domain called the name of the neighborhood. So like, Summerfield Heights real estate or mortgage.com, and he'd put it on the thing and say, hey, I'm an expert, and he'd go blanket the neighborhood. If you have enough money to spend on other types of marketing campaigns, you may not want to be out there pounding the pavement. But if you don't have the money, a lot of it's just going to be hard work to do that. And then there's also a bunch of, probably one of the quickest ways, again, this is different based on the industry, is to find an affiliate network. Find related businesses who can, instead of you having to pay them up front, you can pay them as a percentage of the sale. And, you can find somebody who's created a relationship. We did this with our software. We found a bunch of marketing consultants who were teaching their other business owners how to market in their respective niches. And we said, hey, if you will give us kind of a spotlight in your seminar, for example, we'll give you a cut of the sales that we create. And so you're kind of borrowing the relationship that they've built. Those are a few examples that may help you out there, Mark.
Great. Scott, we also received a lot of questions with regards to lead management. One of them is from Aaron, and how often do you like to follow up with my leads? And I interpret my leads probably more like warm. It's not cold, it's not hot, it's something in between. So how often would you recommend to follow up on these markets?
Great. Yeah, that is a great question. And this art of follow-up is one that's it's really tricky for a lot of people because it's not something that's been around for a long time. This automatic drip nurture marketing is a tough thing. So these are a couple of formulas that you can use. We have some more in-depth formulas as part of what we do with our new customers and consulting them. But it's a great question because of that. It's just a big question mark for a lot of people. So when you initially capture a lead, if you have let's look again at this perfect customer life cycle. If I've just captured a prospect and they don't know much about my company, and maybe let's just extend Mark's example. He has a 3 secrets to fill in the blank report that he's had people request. Right here, as you capture lead and begin to nurture that relationship, a common formula that we would use is for about a week, you're going to send a piece every day. Well, I would usually do every day for 3 days, and then I would skip and I would go every 2 days for the rest of the week, and then I'd begin to go weekly. And so what we're doing is we're matching the frequency of our follow-up to the recency of their request and the level of their interest. So if what people are requesting is not necessarily indicative that they are really interested in buying your services, then I might extend that initial follow-up and have it go out every 2 days instead of having the first 3 days have a piece 1, 2, and 3. And then after that first week, I would extend the follow-up to be more like a weekly follow-up. We don't want to. The goal of the follow-up is not to badger people. It's to find people that are interested and help them to make that transition to the next phase. And so maybe another good example here, again, I don't know how well each of you can see this, but this is an example of right here is an example of a follow-up sequence that I was just talking about. So somebody requests something on your website, and immediately you begin to send maybe 3 steps the first 3 days and then a couple more. If somebody clicks on a link in one of those emails that indicates that they're interested, you may then put them into a more aggressive campaign that actually is kind of a promotional campaign that says, hey, thanks for taking interest in my report on 3 tips to whatever. We actually have a special going on right now where if you sign up with us or you choose to come to this seminar we're doing, whatever, you get this type of discount. So you're matching that level of follow-up with the fact that somebody has shown you interest in the first follow-up by clicking a link. Now, if somebody does not show interest, then you're going to take a different approach. You're going to have a much less aggressive, this might turn into a monthly follow-up sequence where you're just dripping valuable information and staying in touch with that prospect. It's really about, it's about kind of feeling the relationship out and making sure that you're giving an appropriate level of follow-up depending on what that person has done.
Great. Scott, we probably have time for one more question, and a few questions seem to circle around is once the relationship is established, and we have here one from Will, is what ideas do you have to create trust in relationships? The dinners, golf, lunch, and a few other ideas are proposed here, but what has worked for you?
This is probably the easiest first step for people to create a bump in their repeat business. I think it's a fantastic question. I don't know how many times people, it's kind of like we reach the finish line when we close the sale. And so I love the question because it shows evidence of wanting to make sure that relationship is maintained so we can get future benefit. I'm going to answer this with two quick stories and then two concrete things. So I've had I counted this up the other day. I've had 7 different mortgages since my wife likes to move all the time. So we've had 7 different mortgages in our history, and I have not used the same mortgage broker one time. And the reason is because there's been literally 0 follow-up. And so the first thing I'll say is the very most important thing is that you're actually doing something to follow up. My second story is I have my brother's brother-in-law has a company. They make Toyota truck bumpers for Toyota truck enthusiasts. And it's a pretty rabid user base, or it's a pretty rabid customer base. They're all on online forums talking about their Toyota trucks. They're definitely into this thing. Well, he implemented a very simple follow-up campaign. So after somebody buys one of his bumpers and he ships it out, he sends them a follow-up. He sends them very simple, quote-unquote, customer service follow-up emails. I think he had 4. He had one that went out just saying, hey, I want to make sure everything showed up properly. Another one that followed up after he thought they would have installed the bumper to make sure that it worked well. And then another one that came out probably 30 days after that. And I think the last one was actually several months later. Well, he went back into one of these online forums and had several people that were raving about his customer service. So he shows up one day. He sets up this follow-up campaign, puts all of his customers in it when they buy, and then he shows up and it's like, Brandon has the best customer service. He's so awesome. And the thing was he wasn't sending anything amazing. So my specific suggestion is, number one, send information that helps them know that you care about the delivery being satisfactory. Do a kind of a customer service follow-up. And again, be willing to talk to those people who are not satisfied. Number 2, do something simple to show that you're different than everybody else that they're interacting with, right? Send a small, one guy that we bought something from sent us a box of magnets that you could place words on. We put it on the fridge and we could they were like little letters, right? So we could build words out of these. Something really down that's like, hey, thanks for doing business. Here's a little fun thing that you can do. It cost him probably $2. And every time we go in there and form a word, I think about Perry Marshall, who sent us this little thing. So I don't think there's any magic formula other than just being creative and doing something. The great thing is you don't have a lot of competition in great customer service follow-up after the sale, but do something. So hopefully that helps you with some ideas.
All right, Scott, we're very close to the hour. I want to thank you, Scott, for the great insights. I want to thank our participants. Again, this video on demand as well as the presentation will be available tomorrow at our website at nevadasmallbusiness.com. Also want to take a quick minute to also introduce our next webinar, which is always on the second Thursday of the month, so it's May 12th from 9 to 10. And this time we have John Arnold as the speaker. He is the best. He actually wrote 3 marketing books for the Dummy series, and he will very specifically talk about online marketing and how to market locally on the internet. So please feel free to join us. Again, these webinars and the announcement you can track on our website, nevadasmallbusiness.com. Again, thank you very much, and have a great remainder of the week. Goodbye.
Thank you to all of our participants. We hope you have found this webcast presentation informative. Have a good day, and you may now disconnect.